Are we live, Jim?
We are live. We
What's
are.
going on? Why are we here?
We're live. Uh-oh.
We're live.
We
Wait,
every
wait.
Wednesday morning we decide to come live to all our amazing fans and followers, and even more so having great guests like today's guest. But I digress.
Yes. Yes. Our guest is amazing today. And thank you, everyone, for being here for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Stone, hanging out in the woods here in Pennsylvania with Stone Social Media Solutions. And I'm going to turn it over to Jim because I need more coffee.
Can you say that 5 times fast?
No.
I'm
No.
With Fusion Marketing, and I'm in the basement in Atlanta, Georgia. I get all kinds of comments about the brick wall. Sometimes it's a prison, sometimes it's a comedy club. Whatever you want it to be, it's fine with. But it is a vinyl background, not a green screen. I have many people think it's a green screen, so it must do its job. But at least my hands aren't disappearing. So very
That's
excited
true.
today. We have an amazing guest, Nancy Barrows, who, Tim, I know you've been doing a lot with her. We've been getting to see this Radiating Real process. And
Yes.
before we turn it over to Nancy, folks, in case you haven't heard, Tim and Jim are going to be in person August 11th and 12th, Lima, Ohio, Social Media Week Lima. Make sure you check it out. And
Breaking news. I feel like we
can
need sound effects.
get autographs.
Autographs. Yes. Wait in line for your autograph. No, just kidding. Totally. But maybe, no.
I mean, I would just for what it's worth.
We'll do some groupies, right? They're not selfies with us more.
We'll do groupies and we'll do social distancing because Jim loves social distancing.
As long as we're not doing burpees, I'm in.
Oh, that sounds painful. I've done those before. So
yes,
I'm with you, Nancy.
All right. Well, we are digressing quickly here, but thank you everyone who's here. You guys are blowing up the comments already. Brian Schulman is here. Thank you for being here, friend.
Thank you.
Jimmy Dam is here. Thank you for being here. Senor Paisada is here. Hello. Shout out to the Tigers and Bears. Oh my. Carl Sharon Watkins is in the house. Hello, Carl. And Kenny B is here. It's like a reunion over here, Nancy. Maria Rouse is in the house. Hey, Maria. Hey, Kelly. Kelly is here. And so many. Oh, hello, Kara, my new bestie through the Radiating Real movement. Thanks for being here. I think I got everyone. But appreciate you all. Nancy Barrows, I know through working on Brian Schulman's Shout Out Saturday and occasionally What's Good Wednesday shows, but tell everyone who you are. We're so excited you're here and to hear about the movement that you've created.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone for being here. I really, really appreciate it. My community is what has allowed me to do what I've done on LinkedIn, and especially with Radiating Real. So quick background, by training, I'm a speech-language pathologist. I work in the public schools, and I also have a private practice here in Los Angeles. And if you had asked me 7 months ago, that would be sort of what I did. There's a lot more to who I am, my family, and the interests and friends, and my cat, who will be here any moment, I'm sure. But until 7 months ago, that was really sort of where my life was. And then 7 months ago, my best friend, Raquel Boris, made a post introducing me to everyone on LinkedIn and said, connect with Nancy, give her a warm welcome, that kind of thing. And that's exactly what this community did. So forever grateful for that. And since I've been on LinkedIn, I've had the most amazing journey. It's, like I said, been about 7 months. And in that 7 months, not only have I met amazing people, amazing opportunities have come to me just from showing up, truly just from showing up, not knowing what I'm doing by any means, just showing up. And so, I was able to start telling my story, which for those of you who haven't heard it before, it is hard to receive, but I'm very open to discussing it. But I was sexually abused by my grandfather till I was 16 years old. And then, had anorexia for many years and still suffer with, depression. That had been one of the things that I dropped out of George Washington University because I had my first major depressive episode after confronting my grandfather. But that was just the springboard, right? This coming out and telling your story, which I'm incredibly proud of because it helps so many people. And I did not appreciate how how big that was when I started telling my story, nor did I realize that it was a big deal to tell my story, because in my personal life, I've been telling it for a long time. But in showing up and people like you giving me space to tell my story and come on shows, it kept growing and growing and growing. And it grew into, being a co-host on a weekly live stream show. That whole Island of Misfit Toys, who I love. I see Kelly's here from the island. And then having my own weekly live stream show, which is Connected Human Conversations. Tim was on it last week sharing his story, but these things just kept happening. And in the middle of all this, because as if that wasn't enough, I decided to start the Radiating Real campaign. And Radiating Real is really all about just showing up as you are, taking off our masks, being human and authentic, and in that moment, showing who we are, right? So in this case, it was take a picture of yourself in the morning when you wake up, right? That first vulnerable moment where you are who you are, there's sleep in your eyes, your hair's a mess, some people it's taking off your CPAP mask, and post it. And as a community, that we could then shower you with unconditional acceptance. And you could really start feeling that and know that it's okay to show up how you are and who you are, whatever that is fully. And in the hopes, and what's happening is that, showing up real, radiating real becomes the norm and not the exception. Because I was getting so many comments on, oh, we love how real you are. We love how authentic you are. And well, the reason I was getting those comments is because it was unusual to do that. Right. So the idea would be is that we're all doing it, and it's not unusual. It's just like, hey, you're here. We love you. We love what you're doing. Congratulations. We're supporting you, whatever it was. But just the fact that you being real wasn't a big deal. And so that started, and I had been doing it for a bit, but I will say again, I have to give a lot of credit to this guy because he went for it. He was one of the first people. Maricela was another person who did it. Ira Bowman, I'll go through the whole list eventually. Joe Stepke, you guys were like the first who did it. And this momentum just started happening where Tim and Kara and Michelle are posting regularly. In my mind, it was like, oh, you post once, but it's become a thing where people are enjoying it so much. And getting such positive feedback from their community that they're continuing to do it on a regular basis. And I'm so grateful that it can happen without me, because it's been all wonderful, but completely overwhelming in keeping up with it, which means I guess it's doing exactly what my heart wanted it to do. But I'm a person who just loves to engage with my community, and it's been hard for me to do that. So that's the balance I'm finding. And if that wasn't enough, I just decided to start a program, The Chick with the Tool Belt, in talking to people, realizing where my strengths were and how I could help other people beyond telling my story, beyond having a show, beyond doing Radiating Real, that I had the ability to help people really find their voice and get comfortable with sharing it with the world. And I had this ability and these tools to help people go there. So I think I took up half the show telling you who I am and what I'm doing. But like I said, 7 months ago, it would have been a very different story. And now I'm very proud to be able to say what I've accomplished, not because of me, but because it's all made possible by two things: showing up and my community. Right? I could have been on here every day doing what I'm doing, but if the community didn't embrace it, if it wasn't meaningful to them, if it wasn't resonating with them, it would not have taken off. Things would not have taken the turn they did, would not have taken off the way they did, and certainly wouldn't have been embraced the way they have been.
No, that's so true. And I think the other important lesson that to learn from this is you've been consistent by getting out there. You've gotten more comfortable. If you're afraid to get started, right? Get over all the worry about perfection and all those things. Just, right? Like, it really kind of goes back to what you're saying. But being real, radiating real, people are going to embrace it. They're not looking. I think people actually don't like the whole perfection look anymore, right? Just show up as yourself.
I agree. I think people were hurting one another by showing up, quote unquote, perfect all the time. That's that piece where we look at social media and everybody's doing great. Why do I feel like poop? Why can't I get it together? Why is I don't have a perfect family, and I don't have the kids, the dog, and the house, and the picket fence, and I'm not going on vacation, whatever it is, right? And that really hit me when I was going through my divorce a couple of years ago. And I thought I was failing at divorce. Literally was called Raquel and said, I'm failing at divorce. I can't do this, because the people around me who had had similar experiences had shown up in a certain way, and I wasn't aware of what was going on behind the scenes. And so it led me to think that I was less than or bad at, or, that I couldn't handle it. And all it would have taken was somebody to show up and be like, today's a hard day. I didn't go to work today because I couldn't stop crying, or, whatever it was that happened. And same with my story, with my abuse, my anorexia, those taboo subjects, if we're not talking about them, then people are going to feel really isolated, and as if they are the only one, even though you can't possibly be the only one. It feels like you're the only one. And if no one's talking about it, well, somebody's got to start. Just like you were saying, Jim, is start wherever you are. Start scared, start disorganized, start without knowing where it's going, start with the fear, start with the doubt, all of it. Just start. And that's what's happened for me. And I know for a lot of people in my community who have started to do things differently than maybe they would have done them before, right? It took just taking that one step toward that discomfort. And I have not had anyone come back to me saying, I can't believe I listened to you on that. That was the worst decision I ever made. If I could undo it, I would. It's never that. It's always, wow, that's amazing. It's exhilarating. I'm so excited about this. I can't wait to do more of this. And so, yeah, if I impart anything, it's be real and start. You got to start, as scary as it may be.
That's such an amazing message, Nancy. And like Nancy was saying, I've been involved in this. I posted my 10th post today, and it's been so amazing. I felt so stuck a few weeks ago with business, with just kind of felt like I was floating around, and I didn't really know what the next step should be or anything. And Nancy created this Radiating Real thing, and I said, I'm gonna try this and see what happens. And now I'm doing posts day after day, and it actually led to me. This show is not going to be about me. It's going to be all about Nancy. But I shared my story the other day about my journey with leukemia on Jenny Gold's show. Shout out to Jenny Gold, and on Nancy's show also. And it's just been such an amazing journey. Only in those 10 days, connecting with people, getting on calls with people that are also participating in the movement, and inspiring each other, lifting each other up, and just encouraging each other to keep showing up and keep going. So Jim, Mr. Jim.
Yes, sir.
Can you please ask this question?
How can we get involved in the movement, Nancy?
Oh, easy peasy. That one's super easy. And I can drop copy in the comments that can get people going, or DM me, and I'm more than happy to do it. But really, it's about taking that photo or video. People have done video. Brian Schulman definitely did video, and posting it, right? And I encourage people to explain what's going on for them in the moment, how they're feeling, or why they decided to post it. And then you are going to post that. You're going to use the hashtag Radiating Real and tag me so that I can totally energize it and amplify it. And if you want to, tag all of us who are in the Radiating Real family, or tag other people who you think would benefit from seeing it and would maybe even feel like they could do it themselves once they see someone else doing it. So it's really about taking that picture, posting it, telling people what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then that hashtag, tag me, and encourage other people to step into that space. And like I said, I can definitely drop some copy here to get you started if that's what you want to do. And we're primarily right now, this family is Radiating Real on LinkedIn, but I actually have people asking over on Facebook. So anywhere people want to take it, I'm more than happy to see it go. It's really not about me. I'm happy to have been the catalyst, but truly this is about changing. It's a movement. It's about a radical change to being honest and real and authentic every day, and knowing that who we are and how we show up is not only enough, it's more than enough and it's the only thing that matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone, thank you again so much for being here. We're here with Nancy Barrows talking about her Radiating Real movement. Sue-Ann is in the house. Hey, Sue-Ann. Maria. We support each other, not for being perfect. No one is perfect, and have it all situated.
So true.
And everyone, thank you for being here. There are so many of you here. It is wonderful. So Nancy, could you talk a little bit more in terms of like what inspired you to create this movement? There must have been something that inspired you to generate this thing that's out of control.
It's definitely out of my control. And like I said, that's where my heart wanted it to go. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
What motivated it was a couple of things. And I think it began with telling my story of abuse and removing that mask. And for the first time in my life, really, like I said, I had talked about it in my community and with people I knew. And that was never a problem. That had been going on for years for me. But to put it out there publicly, to finally say, okay, there's nothing about this that I need to hold back or hold on to. And realizing that in doing that, like this small piece, that, at least it felt very small. It's like, okay, well, I talk about it openly, but so I wouldn't say it publicly. And my holdback was I work with kids. And people tend to have interesting ideas about people who have experienced abuse and then choose to work with kids. And I was talking about it on the XXO telethon, and I kept saying, my childhood trauma, my childhood trauma. And it hit me, Nancy, you're part of the problem. If you won't say it, if you won't talk about it, how can you expect anybody else to? And so that started the ball rolling. And then just on social media, showing up and posting me being real. One of the commitments I made to my community is that I wouldn't just show up when I was good and perfect and happy and all those things that we tend to do. Again, I think we're doing a disservice to one another and hurting one another. But also, I know if when I was in the middle of my healing, I would have seen me speak today, I would have been like, screw you, lady, you're great and you're past it. And it doesn't feel or seem like you remember any of the middle of it. And so it's always been important for me to talk about the struggles and the ugly, like I say, the ugly, snotty moments. You know, those are the ones that really make us who we are. And those are the places where every time you're having one of them, you know, to a lot of people, it's like, well, I have no choice. I just keep going. But the reality is every time you're there, you choose to keep going, right? Because anytime you're there, you can choose no more. It's too much. I've done it too many times. I'm just not doing it again. But we choose to move forward. We choose to slug through it and slosh through it, roll up our sleeves, get dirty and move to where it's good again. Knowing that because of the way life works, it doesn't just stay at the top all the time. Knowing we're going to find ourselves somewhere at the bottom, maybe not our deepest, darkest hole, but somewhere, you know, down again, and that we're going to have to do it again, or we're going to choose to do it again, and it's worth it every time. And so all of this stuff was brewing in my head about, you know, really showing up authentically, and the feedback I was getting from the community of how much they appreciated it and how much it was helping made me think that, hey, maybe there's something here that can be done that's really focused on that and would be really beneficial and would allow people to show up and, again, receive unconditional love and acceptance. You know, enter into this brave space together. You know, we talk about safe space. Safe space is great, but to me, take it a step further to brave space where we're all willing to be vulnerable together. You're not having to put yourself out there on your own. And I think that's an important piece to create for one another.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Nancy. And now we're going to take a quick 15-second break from our sponsor, StreamYard, which we love to produce this show. And we'll be right back on the flip side. Are we back? Are we doing the Tim? Everyone do the Tim in the comments.
You're doing the Tim today, Tim.
We are back on the Tim and Jim show with Nancy Barrows talking about Radiating Real. So Jim, what do you think so far about this Radiating Real idea?
I think it's great. I think it actually is much in line with what Ryan Foland and Leonard Kimmer wrote about, which is Ditch the Act, uh, where you do share things that, to let people know what goes on in your life. Now, I do think, my opinion, Nancy, you may feel differently. I'm not going to share things about politics and religion. I think that's the area that you kind of want to stay away from. But I think a lot of these other things, Tim, your story about leukemia, some of the things that have happened with you, Nancy, are absolutely appropriate. And it's just something that you have to be comfortable with. I mean, Nancy, it resonated with me. I too went through a divorce about, going on, started about 10 years ago. And I was able to, find love again, and I am now happy. But it wasn't always that way in between there. And so I don't tend to share about that. Maybe some of that's because, I was a Marine, and I kind of hide a lot of that stuff because it's like, I was in that world where we didn't tell, classified information. It's like, you don't need to know, so I'm not going to tell you.
I totally understand that. And I agree. I think one of the things I loved about LinkedIn especially was it wasn't the political place where people were getting into, I don't mind a heated discussion, but they tend to go to a place of being really disrespectful on other platforms. And that's not what happens here. And I think that's part of the beauty and strength of LinkedIn, right? Is that the other thing I love is you show up. For me, 7 months ago, I showed up who I was in that moment. And anyone who's met me or stayed with me since knows who I am moment to moment. There's no someone trying to find me from high school and, who I was. And now, like, who are you? Who is this woman doing this, right? It's people who just have met me today where I am. And I think that's really important. I agree. It's not about the political. And another important point is, you can be radiating real and not tell your entire life story, every intimate detail about yourself. No one's under an obligation to do that ever, but now it's a show. Hello, there's a cat. But the reality is radiating real is however you are in the moment. It's if that means you're ready to reveal something personal about yourself, then you're radiating real. If it's not, and it's just about something that happened or just sharing the pic and you're tired and it's that level of personal, then that's radiating real. And by no means you have to show rip open your chest and show everybody everything about you, especially when you're not ready to. That's not real. Radiating real would not be sharing information you're not ready to share, right? Or not comfortable sharing. Now, we do like to push out of our comfort zone a little, but you've got to know yourself and know where you're at. And that's real important. I mean, I had this past week was probably one of my biggest growing moments in a long time because I had posted my first radiating reel. I've been behind. And one of the reasons I hadn't posted my radiating reel is I was taking these pictures morning after morning, and I was judging myself as that they looked too good, right? When I wake up in the morning, there's this sweet spot that is this moment between waking and my brain kicking in where I'm really serene, right? The worry, the weight of the world, the worry of the day, the stress hasn't hit yet. And so there's that window where I actually, my face is calm. There's no lines and I still feel a little bit rested from the night. It hasn't all been sucked away from me yet. And I posted this picture and I got feedback from people that was basically questioning my integrity, whether or not it had been altered or filtered or anything like that. And, anytime you put yourself out there, there's the possibility of people who are not going to support you. This had been particularly difficult because of who it came from. It was one of my dear friends. And I will say, she later took responsibility in a very brave way and a very sincere apology about how she had questioned my integrity and knowing who I am, how she felt awful about that and was able to say, where her fear, right, had come from, this whole idea of judging people and not feeling, maybe not feeling secure or whatever it was. And so that was a huge growing moment for me because I showed up real. I got some feedback from that wasn't necessarily what I would have wanted to get. I dealt with it directly with my friend and then made a post about it. here on LinkedIn, because I know I'm not the only one who has struggled from that. And, just in that place of not being sure because of the, sorry, Michelle, thank you. Right. That was, like I said, it's one of the places of growth, like significant growth that I can think of in a long while. Sure, coming on LinkedIn and telling all of those stories, but this was really, really both about each of us as individuals, but showing the community, right? Exactly, like biggest fear came true, someone taking responsibility, compassionate, and then being really vulnerable. First of all, about on public, in social media, publicly saying, no, I did that, right? Wow, okay, well, you could expect potentially a lot of feedback from that, backlash. But instead, showing her vulnerability, she was embraced completely, as was I. And so it was Raquel Boris, and she is my best friend. And I'm going to give her credit here, not for, oh my gosh, she doubted me, but for what she did in the moments and days afterwards, because that, again, was the most sincere apology I think I've ever received in my life. It was such a growing moment for both of us. And I think it was a growing moment for everyone who was able to see it. So, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of growing out there. And I am so grateful and fortunate that I get to be a part of it.
Well, we're fortunate that you created it. Oh, sorry, Jim, were you saying something?
No, I was just saying, I agree with what you're saying 100%.
Yes. Nancy, could you give people an idea of, like, what are some other kinds of things that people could talk about in their posts, right? Like they could take a picture of them showing up in the morning as they are, right? But I've seen people do posts about so many other different things, just showing up in the moment, but it's not necessarily when they're not at their best, right when they wake up in the morning.
Well, and that's the thing, right? That was how I envisioned it. And the beauty of most everything is how the community takes it and continues to evolve it into what is meaningful, right, for them, what resonates with them. So still getting a lot of pictures in the morning, but I'm also getting a lot of pictures, the movement is getting a lot of pictures of, people in their happy places, right? Radiating real in their happy place and what they're doing, or, people who, at different times of day. Kara's been great. She had her mouth full of food. She did it at bedtime. You've done it out in nature. You've done it, in the middle of the night when you can't sleep. And so radiating real is real. It's appropriate at any time, anywhere, as long as you're being authentic and you're just sharing what's going on for you in that moment. So yes, while the copy says do it in the morning, I need to change it, I guess, because it's really take a picture of yourself anytime you are radiating real. And what you're sharing in the text is really just what's going on for you, and letting other people see you, support you, but also feel less lonely because they're in that space with you. So however you want to radiate real, it's so funny because now I think about, well, I dictated how you had to radiate real, and that's not what it's about. So whenever you want to radiate real is the right time to radiate real in whatever way feels good to you. So please don't allow my limitations of seeing what it could be in the beginning stop anyone from posting anything about radiating real.
Yeah, I love that. I love how people have been really expanding their, like, the kinds of posts that they've been creating in all sorts of different circumstances. And yeah,
we can talk about one creative post, which will not surprise anyone, that was from Brian Schulman, who did his version of radiating real, Ferris Bueller style, literally towel wrapped around his head, swiping the foggy window and mirror, and showing us him getting ready for his son's graduation that morning. Yeah. So it's really, there's no wrong way to do it. That's the beauty, right? I keep saying that's the beauty. That's the beauty. There's so much beautiful around this, but one of those aha moments is there's no wrong way to radiate real.
I love that. I love that. So thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Tell everybody a little bit about the Chick with the Tool Belt and also how they can connect with you before we wrap up.
Okay, so Chick with the Tool Belt, like I said, it's about finding what's already within you. So I call it coaching, but I'm very open to a different word. I've been calling it the Chick with the Tool Belt program because I'm just going to work through it with you. It's already within you. You're going to find it. And it's about finding your voice. It's about really finding a comfortable way to share your voice, and about engaging and radiating real in whatever situation you are in, whether it be a work situation or a relationship, or here on LinkedIn, right? Whatever you're doing. I am working with someone right now who is an accountant, Alexis Thornton, and I'm going to shout out to her. She's an accountant, and she's decided she's been a baker her entire life. She loves to be in the kitchen, and she's decided she's starting Bread and Butter Joy, and she wants to be making, niche breads and specialty butters and have those out there. And she's taking that, comfort food experience, and we're adulting it a little bit here, we're bringing it up a level, and that's her passion. And she's willing to go off of her quote unquote, like the normal path to follow her passion now. And one of the things that will stick with me forever is at the end of our first conversation, she said to me, when you said I was going to have to be posting, I had like this panic moment because I don't really have anything to say. I don't have anything important or interesting. And now at the end of the call, I feel like I have a year's worth of things to say. And so if I can be part of that moment, what a privilege that someone finds their voice and realizes what they have to say is important and they want to share it. So that's what's happening with the Chick with the Tool Belt. It's all the tools, because they're all different tools to get there. They're all different tools to engagement. I have been dubbed by both Tim and Brian Schulman the queen of engagement. It's just something I love. I love people. I love making them feel welcome. And I love, them knowing that they matter. And so rolling that all together, I got the Chick with the Tool Belt program. So that's where that is. And you guys, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all those places. Connect with me here is probably the easiest because you can click on my name in the post. But you also, I saw Brian Schulman. Thank you. It takes a village, guys. It takes a village. And one of those things that I have gotten much better at is asking for help. So I encourage you to do that as well. I saw that Brian Schulman put my Calendly link in there, which means I'm going to have to go and open my Calendly and make sure everything's accurate. But please sign up for a 15-minute free, conversation. It's just a virtual face-to-face, and I can answer any questions about any of it. Anything I've said today or something that maybe I haven't mentioned that you have a question about. I do love connecting with people. I love building my network with quality people who are looking to, find the people that make them feel energized, find the people who allow them to be themselves, to be accepted and to feel supported. So I always welcome, a connect or a follow here on LinkedIn or a calendar date where we can actually see one another face to face and have a conversation. And I can put that in again, but it's that fun Calendly link, which is basically calendly.com/Nancy Barrows. So it's just my name, and I will put it again in the comments, and would love, again, to hear from all of you. And I want to, before we go, say thank you both to you, Jim and Tim, for having me here, for giving me this space, and for bringing this community together and introducing me to your audience and your show. It's really a privilege, and I appreciate it. And it's because of people like you that people like me have been able to thrive on LinkedIn and find their people and their community and make a difference.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's really been an honor to share what you have to share with everyone, and I think everyone has gained from it.
Yes, thank you, Nancy. And up next week, we have Christina Nietzsche. Is that right, Jim?
Yes, and we're going to learn a little bit about fitness and some of the other fun things that she's doing and how we can bring that into our busy lives, because fitness is definitely something important, and she's got a really fun spin on how she's doing that.
That's great. Maybe we'll even be exercising during the show, Jim. Will we?
It's possible. It's possible.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Jim. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. Bye.
Bye.